OpenSea, controversial, coming back with the token. What do we need to know? What are the key details here?
Yeah, actually, this one's pretty simple because they gave you a quick bullet point of what they're actually doing, right? So they're dropping ticker SEA. I don't know if that's better than open, but I'll accept it. So C is coming, and they just gave 4 little bullet points on what it actually is what's gonna be the criteria and who can claim it, right? The most notable being who can claim it because it mentions U.S. residents are open, but the other bullet points is it's going to be based on historical OpenSea usage, not just recent activity. The claim process will be simple and accessible. U.S. Users are welcome. Again, that being the big bullet point for me as a U.S. resident. It's exciting. Maybe go after this thing without a VPN. We're focused on long-term sustainability and supporting a healthy, enduring community, and no timing. So still some TBDs there, but pretty broad historical usage. I know a lot of people were starting to float around actual ticker or calculators guesstimates on and showing historical money spent, fees given to back in 2021, the heyday of NFTs. I think it's still absurd to see how much money was actually spent on OpenSea. They raked in hundreds of millions of dollars in a very short time frame, and then it effectively evaporated. But they're trying to claw some of that back because the second part of this, or in this wave of news, they actually had someone that dropped OpenSea 2. The beta is coming out. I know we have a link here to kind of show off some of it. And it's basically just started about a year ago. And they said they're basically doing a ground up revamp of the entire platform. They called out some juggernauts here, saying that it's calling out Linear and Vercel as like wanting to create a product that is not just good in Web3, but it's just a good product, full stop, like standalone. Vercel is very notable in the developer ecosystem for launching things, right? Having a developer suite. So yeah, I don't have a personal opinion on it. I'm not a big trader, so I can't give like true critical analysis against like the blurs of the world. It does seem a little more high frequency degen style as opposed to just like a pure creator focused, right? With a full shop for a art collection, right? It's compact, it's smaller pictures, it's the same terminal vibes that you see with Blur. So yeah, that's the big thing. For my personal opinion, I think I saw Beanie and some other people comment on this stuff, say like OpenSea raised a lot of money. Like they have some investors that are in for I think the valuation was about 15 billion. So I think those people got something like 50% of this token supply, if I remember the tokenomics correctly. And if that is true, like it could be perceived as this just being an opportunity for them to like, we gotta get something back on this, and this is maybe a way that they can do that.
What's your excellent summary, Brad? Thanks so much. I think the important thing there, which is maybe being lost, is everyone's focusing on the airdrop, but there is this, whether you're skeptical about it or not, there is this new product aspect, which I think is interesting to note. So thanks for sharing that. What's your instinct here, Brad?
On when the product?
Yeah, no, as in you said like, well, maybe this is the way that they're going to recoup a lot of that investment.
Yeah.
One of the details for the airdrop details was that we don't know when it's going to come. And obviously that means there's going to be a wide period of time for people to participate, which means they're going to earn a lot of fees in that period of time, which, I guess they're entitled to do. That's what a lot of protocols do. But what's your thought there?
Can you guys validate this? I could have swore I saw tweets about XP. Do they literally have XP for this beta program? I could have swore people came in and saw that they did something, they claimed a box. Okay.
Yeah.
Not great, right? The XP was earned in 2021. People spent a lot of fucking money on this thing. And I get that that you want to synchronize this with your beta so that you incentivize people to come in and test and give feedback and all that stuff. I don't know that the right move is to do that by stringing the people along who have been here for years even more to it. It doesn't feel good, right? If you're trying to incentivize farmers on top of everything that you've already done, and maybe this is just me being in the ecosystem and having this holier than thou, you owe us thing. They don't owe anyone anything, right? But I think they would garner goodwill if they did that kind of stuff. And I think dragging people along for another XP campaign on top of this stuff with an undefined date would not be a good look.
Okay.
Just real quick on that, because I'm also super curious to hear from Whale, but want to interrupt for a couple of seconds for some breaking news that RCIV shared in the YouTube comments. Talking about airdrops, Kaito just announced their own token, Kaito.
Heyo.
And the release of the white paper with that, they've been saying that attention is a core part of today's economy. Since launching in December 2024, YAPS, or open and permissionless protocol for tokenized attention, has been adopted by numerous teams, as we also have just discussed this in the show. And that Kaito will serve 3 roles: driving market forces, serving as the network currency, enabling community governance, and linking to the docs, and also saying that soon there's going to be more info on the tokenomics for that.
I made the picture. I was there, top 10 or whatever. Heyo.
Okay, so I mean, cool breaking news. Brad, what are you going to do? You still going to sell the NFT?
Fuck. Yeah, if it surges, like I think this. What's the NFT doing? Legendary, you still have that tab open?
I don't know.
Keep an eye on that. We'll check. Yeah, we'll check it in a few minutes.
Give some people a chance to respond.
Hasn't moved yet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but general feelings on the OpenSea stuff is just like, I think they're cooked. Like, you're not going to claw back the same market share from Blur. You're like, they're in this middle ground of they only support EVM. They're not focused on creators. They're trying to claw back against Blur, which already has a permission, like a position established with the degens, even if it is also an eroded relationship. I just don't know that there's a lot of pie to win there. Frankly.
Let me cut straight to it on OpenSea, and we've got to move on because we've only got 17 minutes left before the interview with Rishi. The direct question here for OpenSea is, what would you do then? Like, what would you do as the protocol that has to try to reward people that did stuff on it 3 years ago? Like, no other protocol has this many angry users from 3 years ago who are not long-term aligned with the protocol. And normally you would give the whole point of tokenizing and decentralizing that way is to align incentives, hopefully moving forward. I know a lot of people sell, I know there are a lot of farmers, but in general, some people won't, and you're supposed to be rewarding your biggest supporters and users with the view that at least some of them are going to believe in you in some way. This is like, there's reason to believe that this is not necessarily going to be the case on this occasion. And so what do you do then? Legendary first, David, like how do you strike the balance between trying to support and I mean, the final thing I'd say, the key point to me, and this is why I think people should not be getting their hopes up from a personal individual perspective, is that in the announcement, they said historical usage, and I quote, will be an important ingredient. And the tweet I put out yesterday was that ingredients are a small part of a much bigger meal, typically. And so I don't think people are going to get what they want from that historical segment, because it doesn't make sense for you to give everything to people who have done things 3 years ago. That is the unfortunate reality. That is what I think people need to get on board with. We don't have forever to talk about this. Quick takes from David, Legendary, and maybe Whale as well. I think Legendary, you said.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful wording, right? An ingredient. I had a excellent filet mignon yesterday, and the main ingredient is obviously the meat, but the salt on top is pretty nice. But if you look at the quantities, obviously there's not a lot of salt on that. And yes, the talking about being salty, the community is definitely salty. It feels like a last Hail Mary. And I don't think that there's anything that they can do where they come out on top of that and are the winners of the timeline and the hearts, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I would just add, right, the world when these guys were in their peak was a very different world. People used the platform because they wanted to use it. It was not for airdrop farming at that time. The investors who came into that round and gave them 300 million at a 13 billion valuation when it had annualized revenues of 5 billion or something, were buying equity into a business that they thought had long-term sustainability. They probably weren't doing it for a token. Now that business has failed, which we need to remember in crypto, like that's the way of the world. Things fail. This release of a token, right, is obviously all the investors being like, there's no way we're getting our value on equity. The thing makes 30 million a year now. Let's try and get everyone with a token. We can get out of this. That's my hot take on it.
I think that's pretty fair. Whale, do you have a final take on the OpenSea token or details?
First of all, holy shit, we get a Kaito token. Brad, we're close to retirement.
Hell yeah.
I'm rank 11, Brett is 10, so I got cropped out of the image for the OpenSea stuff. I like OpenSea OS2. I think it's superior to the platform they had before that. When it comes to the token, I don't think tokenomics are out yet. Devin Fuzz, like the CEO of OpenSea, I think replied to Bean yesterday that kind of the tokenomics that he posted were wrong. So we don't know yet, how much goes to community and how much goes to team and, advisors, investors. But we will for sure see like a farming season. They have XP on, they have a leaderboard. The leaderboard looks pretty similar to Blur. So there's even like a multiplier for the top 10, for the top 20, for the top 50, almost like similar to what Blur had back in the day. So I'm pretty sure we'll get a decent farming season before we'll see an airdrop. I think people who think like the airdrop is imminent, I don't think that's the case. I think we'll get at least a few months of farming, in my opinion.
Interesting. I think that's definitely accurate, although I have noticed a bit of urgency from teams when people say like, okay, we've got a lot of time. I think now a lot of time means like 30 to 60 days or like 90 days. Like I think the timeframes are being contracted and there's a real sense of urgency. Even Kaito coming today, other teams trying to move faster, I think, because really now you've got a window. You want to go before summer or you go after summer, and like summer or May is not very far away. And so you've really got like this 3-month window now to go to market, or you're going to wait because you're not going to launch in the summer.